Hi, hello again, lovely English readers and English learners. This is our last live reading of Wuthering Heights. This is it. This is the end. We're reading now chapter 14. We've just finished the reading chapter 13 just a couple minutes ago, about 15-20 minutes ago, we read chapter 13, and now I'm back live to read with you chapter 14, the very last chapter of this adaptation of Emily Bronte, Emily Bronte's novel, Wuthering Heights. So if you haven't, if you have missed the live readings of this book, then you can catch up either on Instagram or on YouTube. Hi, Etienne. Welcome. I hope you're well. So if you have missed the live readings, you can catch up all the chapters on my YouTube channel as well. And you can rewatch the live readings and catch up everything. And if you want to go further and have a chance to practice your English, your speaking skills, and talk about English literature, or just talking about books, and to talk about this book or the new book that you will be reading next month, then you can join the book club. We meet every Saturday morning and we discuss the graded reader, these little adaptations for English learners. We discuss the readings of the chapters of the books that we have read over the week. And we often talk about other books as well and other authors, female authors. I like to read specifically female authors in this book club. But who knows, it might happen that we might read a male author as well, but I tend to, so far we've been reading only female authors, and I hope to continue in that sense. So you can find all the links in my bio and join the book club whenever you feel ready, but don't feel pressured to read, to keep up with the reading. Absolutely. If you haven't read the chapters, it's fine. If you haven't had the time to catch up with the live readings, it's all fine. You can just listen to maybe the recap that we will be doing over the discussion. But of course, you can join in and share your thoughts as well on the recap that we're doing, and your thoughts on the book, and also on other authors and readings. So don't feel pressured to absolutely to read, to have read the books or read the chapters, sorry, because it is a place for you to express yourself. The Zoom sessions are really there for you to be able to practice your speaking skills, share your thoughts, share your struggle as well. If you're struggling reading in English, or you're struggling to keep up with the reading of the book, of the chapters, then it will be the right place actually to share it. And this way, I might help you as well to find ways to read more or find space and find time in your week to read the book, especially if it's really something that you want to do and you want to get started. If it's something that you've always had in your mind, there's always those things in your mind that you dream you had time to do, because there's always never enough time. But if it's really something that it's in you and you really feel like you want to find the time and make space for that in your life and in your schedule, then tell me. Then don't be afraid to share it with us or on private messages. I don't know if you have any questioning about the book club, and you don't have to have a very good level in English. You can join in even if you don't feel confident in your speaking skills, if because often people feel like, oh, they are very bad, but actually they know a lot of words and they know a lot, but because they don't have the chance to practice, they feel like they don't know how to speak. But unless you're very beginner, and it might be a little bit challenging. But if you're someone that has learned English when you were at school, or you have had some lessons, you took some lessons, and you have sort of the basis of the language, then you're perfectly welcome to this book club, and it's going to be the right place for you to practice and improve your skills. And it's also the place to maybe ask any questions that you have in relation to English language or grammar, vocabulary. I'm here to advise or guide you as well if you have any questions about the English language as well. This is not a lesson, but it's but when you speak, when you have conversation, you make sentences, and this is where also grammar and verbs and all and structure and sentence structures come into place, and this is where you have those questions that come into your mind. So it's actually, I would say, the best way to engage and improve your English. Of course, you have to be interested a little bit in reading. You have to like reading, that's for sure, and be also interested in English literature. But you can be if you're someone that doesn't read much, but maybe would like to try something new, that's also a possibility. It just if you're someone that not really interested in reading but doesn't want to have a conventional or very ordinary lesson, English lesson, and it doesn't want to have a lesson to be able to practice your English, then this is also the right way for you to practice your English and get better. And maybe you might get into reading after that. So that's why I'm saying that you don't have to absolutely read the book. You just have to know that you're gonna get spoiled if you join the Zoom meetings, because we would be discussing the readings of the chapters. So you have to get ready to get spoiled. So to have spoilers, and but that's it. As long as you're happy to engage, to learn as well, to learn about um a specific author or about a specific book that we're reading and you are interested in, then that's great. Or simply have just an opportunity for you to practice your English, then it's also great. And who knows, you might get into reading after that. So now, without further ado, let's get into our story. So I'm going to do a quick recap of chapter 13. So the chapter that we have just read, in chapter 13, we learn that Mr. Lockwood is back at Thrushcross Grange in Yorkshire, because he's been invited by a friend that lives also in Yorkshire, and he took this opportunity to go back to Thrushcross Grange, and he's quite surprised because Nelly is not at Thrushcross Grange anymore. So instead, it's another woman, another housekeeper, an old lady who's taking care of the house. And she tells him that Nelly is in fact back at Wuthering Heights. So Mr. Lockwood is quite shocked about this news, and he goes there to find Nelly. And instead, first, he he walks past a room, or the main the door is open, and he can see inside the room, and he can see a young man smiling and reading. And then he hears another voice, a female voice behind, walking and dictating words, and actually teaching reading, or teaching English. And he notices that they are in fact Hareton and Cathy. And they're very close because you see them kissing. So we can deduct then that they are both in love, and they are together and very happy together. Then he passed by without being seen by the two lovebirds, and he meets Nelly in the kitchen. I think she's yeah. I think she's in the kitchen. He meets her in the kitchen, I think. So there she starts telling him what happened over those last few months that he's been away. And she tells him that Heathcliff has died. 3 months ago, he died. We don't really know yet the circumstances, because she started then telling all the events that happened over the last few months. And this is where we learn that it's Heathcliff who asked Nelly to move back to Wuthering Heights because he was sick of looking at, he was sick of seeing Cathy unhappy and constantly angry at him. So he asked Nelly to move back to Wuthering Heights. So she did, and she was shocked to see in what state Cathy was. So she tried to help her and bring her some happiness and try to comfort her as well. Hi, Adar, welcome. I'm glad that you're able to join today. So I'm just doing a quick recap of chapter 13. So I've done at 5 o'clock, I did a little, I did a live reading of chapter 13. So now I'm doing a quick recap of chapter 13, and I will start reading chapter 14, the very last chapter of the book. I'm good. Very happy to be here today at a much earlier time than the previous ones. How are you? Me as well. Great. I'm so glad you're feeling good and ready to finish, to get into the last chapter of the book and discuss a little bit about this chapter. So where was I? So in this chapter, in chapter 13, where was I? Heathcliff asks Nelly to move back to Wuthering Heights because he's sick of seeing Cathy very unhappy and constantly angry at him. So Nelly is very glad to move back to Wuthering Heights, but she's quite shocked to see how to see Cathy's state and to see how she is she's been treated as well, and she is going to try to bring some joy in her life and spend time with her and comfort her. And at some point, Cathy is going to kind of get out of this grieving state she was in, because let's remember that in the space of maybe a few weeks, she lost her dad, Mr. Edgar Linton, then her husband, a very brief husband, Linton, Heathcliff, so Linton's Heathcliff's son. She loses both of the loves of her life, and at the same time she loses the house, her childhood house, Freshcross Grange. So she doesn't have any money, and she doesn't have any more, she doesn't have anywhere to live as well. So she is forced to live at Wuthering Heights with a man that she hates, Heathcliff, her father-in-law, and with this boy, this stupid, lazy boy. Well, he's not really lazy, but she finds him stupid, Hareton. Hindley's son. So I guess she had sort of a revelation, or not revelation, but she becomes very much aware of all the damage that Heathcliff has done to her life, but to Hareton's life as well, because she realizes that he did that to Hareton too, because he took his house away, because Wuthering Heights was meant to go back to Hareton, but it did not. It's Heathcliff who stole this house to Hareton, and also stole his money as well. Hi, welcome. So she realizes this, and she starts standing up, and then she stands up against Heathcliff at some point. They're having breakfast, I think, or they're in the kitchen, and she starts talking back to Heathcliff, and oh, before that, sorry, she starts that. So when she realizes that, she starts being nice to, or apologize. She apologizes to Hareton, and she decides that she wants to be his cousin, and she wants to be friend with him. So she gives him a book that she wrote his name on, and asks Nelly to give him. And Hareton doesn't take it, but it doesn't throw it away. So he just keep it on the side. And yes, it was at breakfast that Heathcliff started to see that Hareton and Cathy had kind of a laugh together, and a nice, yeah, sort of a nice relationship going on. And he noticed that, and he didn't like it. So he started being very violent towards Cathy, and he actually wanted to hit her, but she didn't let him get away with it, and she talked back and said to him that he had taken away her house, and her money, but also Hareton's house and his money too. And now they were friends, and they will not stay silent anymore. So Heathcliff started to get very angry, and he wanted to hit her. But then, as she looked so much like her mother, suddenly just stopped himself, and he asked Nelly to take her away, and he left Wuthering Heights for until, and only got back in the evening. So it's a very tense chapter, but also an empowering one, because here in this chapter you can clearly see that Cathy is taking full ownership of her own mind, and she starts not being manipulative, but she understands that it is better for her to have Hareton on her side than against her. And that it's much better for her to see him as an ally than an enemy, so that together they could fight Heathcliff and stop this madness and this boring life and um, yeah, empty life without, remember in chapter 12, I think that she wasn't even allowed to have any books in the house or in her room because Heathcliff burnt everything. So he's a madman, clearly. Um, he's mad, he is violent, and he is angry at the whole world, and especially Cathy. He's a tormented, he has a tormented soul because she reminds him so much of Catherine, but she's not Catherine. So I guess this is torture for him. And is a very it makes the life of everyone very difficult for everyone. So now this is it. Let's read chapter 14. Young love. While he was gone, Cathy and Hareton sat together and continued with their reading lesson. It was wonderful to watch them together. Don't forget that they were both my children, and I was proud of them. To remember, this is Nelly. She says that in a sense that she raised them as her own children. With Cathy's help, Hareton has changed into a warm and intelligent young man. When I was with them, it was easy to forget time, and when Mr. Heathcliff came in late, I saw us all together. We did not hear him at first. The light from the fire shone on their beautiful young heads as they lifted their eyes together to look at him. Have you noticed how their eyes are the same? They are Catherine Earnshaw's eyes, but Hareton's looks much more like her than Cathy. That's interesting. Dear, I'm so sorry. I have to go. Oh, bye-bye, Adar. They are Catherine Earnshaw's eyes, but Hareton looks much more like her than Cathy. He made them both leave, and then he turned to me. It's a strange ending, isn't it? He said. I could hit them. But why? I don't care, Nelly. He said. Sorry, I could hit them. But why? I don't care, Nelly. I don't enjoy hurting them now. Nelly, a change is happening. I'm not interested in my life. I forget to eat or drink. I won't speak about Cathy, and I don't want to think about her. But Hareton affects me differently. I see Catherine everywhere, Nelly. I see her in every cloud, in every tree. Everything in the world tells me that she lived, and I have lost her. Hareton looks like Catherine, and this is why I prefer not to see him. Well, I was saying that, well, she looks like Cathy looks like Catherine as well, but Hareton too, as we can read here. So basically, both of them reminds him of Catherine, and that's torture. But what do you mean by a change, Mr. Heathcliff? I asked. Are you ill? No, he replied. With my strong body, I know I can live for many years. But I don't want to, Nelly. I have to tell myself to breathe. I only want one thing, and everything is moving that way. I'm sure that it will happen soon. Oh God, it has been a long fight. I want it to be finished. After that evening, Mr. Heathcliff stopped having meals with us, and he started to spend a lot of time outside. But it was strange, because when we saw him, he did not seem unhappy. He seemed bright and excited, like something good was going to happen. One evening, I heard him go downstairs and out of the front door. He did not hear, I did not hear him come back. And the next morning, he was still away. The next day and the next evening, he still did not return. When I woke up, it was raining. I walked around the house and saw that his bedroom window was open. He cannot be in bed, I thought. He must be downstairs or outside. But when I opened the door to his bedroom, he was lying there on his back. His dark eyes met mine, and at first I did not think he was dead. But then I saw that his face and clothes were wet from the rain. When I put my fingers on his cold skin, I knew that he was dead. We buried him next to Catherine's body. She lies now with Mr. Linton on one side and Mr. Heathcliff on the other. Hareton cried as he dropped the earth over his grave. Heathcliff had been like a father to him, and he could not see that Heathcliff had also been a terrible man. I hope that Mr. Heathcliff rests quietly in his grave, but once I was walking to Thrushcross Grange one evening, and I met a boy with some sheep. He was crying and shaking. What's the matter? What's the matter? I asked him. Heathcliff and a woman are on the moor, he cried. I was too frightened to pass them. I was too frightened to pass them. I couldn't see anything, but neither the boy nor the sheep would go forward. I don't like walking on the moor at night now. And now back to the present. After that, Nelly went silent. So, who will live here now? I asked. Only Joseph, she replied. Hareton and Cathy will get married and go to Thrushcross Grange. Joseph and the ghosts, I said. No, Mr. Lockwood, she replied, shaking her head. I believe the dead sleep quietly. I decided to visit the graves on my way home and found them easily near their low stone wall. I stood staring at them for a long time. The autumn sky above my head was kind, and a soft wind blew gently over the grass, and as I stood there, I suddenly felt sure that Nelly was right. That these three people were sleeping quietly in the silent ground. Very peaceful ending in the end. Look at this. So you can see Mr. Lockwood here in the dark, and the three stones. Tombstones here. And that's the end. It would be quite interesting to read the final, it's interesting to read the difference between the original book and the last line of the original book and the adaptation, and see, we of course we lose a little bit of poetry and literary style here, but I guess, but the essence of the message is still there, though even if it has been simplified, it's still you still get the idea here. I lingered around them under that benign sky, watched the moths fluttering amongst the heath and harebells, listened to the soft wind breathing through the grass, and wondered how one could ever imagine unquiet slumbers. Means sleeps. Ever imagine unquiet slumbers for the sleepers in that quiet earth. Yeah. So in the original book, we it is more of a questioning that how come those unquiet souls can seem so peaceful now on the ground. Yeah. So very after this tormented lives, these tormented lives, and very violent, and a lot of violence, after all this violence and all this hurts and aggressivity and violence, and violence, now finally the characters have found peace. Those three tormented souls that are even, I mean, we don't talk about Hindley, but mainly Edgar, Linton, Catherine, and Heathcliff are finally at peace now, somehow. So yeah, it's very contrasting, and it feels finally that also Cathy and Hareton can be happy at Thrushcross Grange and not forget, but move on with their lives and not be pulled back by the past and by Heathcliff's memory of Catherine and Edgar, and all the hate that he carried with him, all that he carried all his life. And it feels like only death could liberate him. Only death could bring some peace to him, because finally he would be reunited with Catherine. So it's interesting to see that when Nelly asks him, "Oh, but are you sick?" No, actually, I'm in a good shape. I'm a strong man. But despite having a very fit and strong body, his mind is so weak that in the end, it's his tormented soul and mind and wicked mind that is going to kill him in the end. Yeah. So I would say, as a final word, take care of your mind and your body as well, and your health. But yeah, so that's interesting. How the psychology of the mind here is affected, and how it affects your whole body. Even though it seems like you're in a good shape and everything, and you have a strong body, then that doesn't mean that you have a healthy, that yes, you are not untouchable, and that you are, if your mind is not at peace, then the rest of your body is not either. It is not neither. Is neither in a good state. So yeah. So this is it for today, and the reading of Wuthering Heights for this month. I will see you next week for my live podcasts. Hi, Melissa. I will see you next week with 3 live podcasts, if I'm right. Yes. If you have subscribed to my newsletter, you will get the details on these 3 live podcasts next week. They will happen on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And next week is also the reveal of our new live read along for April. April live read along. If you following me on my and if you looked at my stories, you can already know what it's you already know what is the next what it's the next book. But I am not gonna say more, and I will leave it for you to discover next week. I'm going to do a new sort of podcast next week. It's going to be a nice introduction as well into the book that we're going to read in April. So I hope that you will like it, and that's going to be interesting for you to learn about. And then we will start the reading in 2 weeks. So from the 1st of April, yay, Easter is going to be on Easter Monday. We will start reading the new our new book, and this will go over 3 weeks again. And I look forward to meet you next week for our new live for the live podcasts, and in 2 weeks for our new live read along. And also, if you, as I was saying at the beginning of this live, if you want to join the book club and also have a chance to have a say on the next reading, then I would welcome your suggestions as well. And I look forward as well to engage with you and learn more about your reading journey in English, but also your learning journey. So I wish you a beautiful evening, and I will see you next week. Bye.